right? Alhamdulillah, we've made it through yet another year, right? And we're here, inshallah. May Allah grant us barakah in fulfilling our tasks for this particular year. And yeah, we have with us today a very special guest, right? We needed to start the year off very strong. So we got one of the best speakers in the industry, inshallah, who will be sharing his thoughts with us on a very crucial topic. So what are we here to discuss today? Pakistan, officially known as the Islamic Republic of Pakistan, a country in South Asia with a population of over 240 million people, making it the second largest Muslim population in the world, just behind Indonesia, which holds a population of over 277 million people. Now, in April of 2022, the Federal Sharia Court of Pakistan, which has been given the mandate to ensure the provisions of the country's constitution are in line with Islamic law, the Sharia, seeing that Pakistan, as per the constitution, is an Islamic country, the Federal Sharia Court declared interest or usury to be unconstitutional. As such, the Federal Sharia Court issued an order to the government demanding that it eliminates riba or usury from the country's banking system by 2027, meaning the end of 2027. Now, Pakistan's Islamic finance sector has witnessed tremendous growth in recent times. Its assets are currently valued at about 53 billion USD. Given the active efforts of key players within the public and private sectors, the growth is set to continue. With this recent declaration, however, questions have been raised on whether it will be sustainable, whether the roughly 30 to 40 commercial banks and over 300 mutual funds in Pakistan will be able to cope with this new regime. Hence, I ask the questions. Can Pakistan withstand the wave of challenges and pushbacks, those currently existing and those lurking in the shadows? What inspired it to make this decision now? And what are the benefits that would potentially come out of it? Well, joining us today to share some key insights on this new regime are two distinguished speakers, the first of whom is a notable figure in Islamic finance, holding a PhD and MSc from INSEF University, Malaysia, and serving as an IOP certified Sharia advisor and auditor, otherwise known as CISA. He's the founder and CEO of Adl Advisory, Malaysia, specializing in Sharia advisory, consultancy, and training services. Now, he's also the co-founder of IFA Consultancy, which is a pioneering institution promoting Islamic finance through training programs, workshops, and consultancy services. He's none other than Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, who I would have the honor and the pleasure to welcome to make the opening remarks. Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, if you're here, تفضل مشكورا. Do we have Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan with us over here? Oh, seems we might be having some issues. Okay, what we'll do is, in the interest of time, I will jump to the next speaker. And inshallah, if by then Mufti rejoins us, then I'll give him the floor. All right, so our second and main speaker for today's webinar is an assistant professor with over 30 years of teaching and training experience at prominent educational institutions within and beyond Pakistan. Among other areas, he specializes in banking and financial inclusion, particularly in the context of Pakistan. As an academician, trainer, researcher, and expert in the field of Islamic finance, he has a few dozen publications under his belt, some of which he has presented in reputed international conferences across the world, while also delivering keynote addresses and conducting training sessions for staff, faculty, and students. He is, of course, Assistant Professor Dr. Sanaullah Ansari. Thank you for joining us today, Professor. Are you here?
Yes, Alhamdulillah.
Ahlan, welcome. And as I mentioned, thank you for joining us, Professor. Professor, do you have slides to share, or shall we begin? Shall we have this in an interactive fashion?
Yeah, of course we have.
Okay, wonderful. All right, so a few questions, as I mentioned, that we would hopefully be unpacking, that Professor would be kind enough to unpack with us today, to give us sort of a better understanding of what is going on in Pakistan and what the implications would be moving forward for Pakistan and for the global Islamic finance industry. So some questions hopefully we can get from Prof answered today are, the historical context of Islamic banking and finance in Pakistan from the time of independence until our recent time with the monumental decision taken by the Federal Sharia Court. He would highlight, inshallah, some of the challenges faced throughout the process. He would highlight also the milestones that have been achieved throughout, right? And perhaps towards the end, he would share with us some of his strategies, his propositions for how we can best move forward, Idnillah, right? Prof, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Brother Sano. First of all, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, everyone. Thank you very much, Adl Advisory, for providing me this opportunity to talk to all of you regarding Islamic banking in Pakistan, past, present, and future. Specifically, right from the independence, what is the banking industry at that time, what is right now, and what is going to be in future, inshallah. So to talk to on this topic, I'll prefer to share my presentation. Is it visible?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Prof.
Okay, fine. So, Pakistan's 2028 revolutionary riba-free banking policy, global implication and way forward. I'm Dr. Sanaullah Ansari. As just Brother Sano has introduced myself, I'm assistant professor in SZABIST University here in Pakistan, as well as I'm the CEO and co-founder and founder of Al-Iqtisad Institute here in Pakistan. If we talk about the banking industry historically, we have to see on or before 1947, which is the independence year of Pakistan. Before partition of India, before establishment of Pakistan, the banks which were operating in the United India, those all banks were British by origin, because at that time British were ruling over India, and the banks which were operating here were British origin. In 1883, Chartered Bank and Greenlace Bank, both are British bank. They were operating in India, and then Imperial Bank of India was established within India. That was Indian Bank, not British Bank, and that was the largest bank at that time, and it was also performing the role of Central Bank of India as well. However, in 1935, the Reserve Bank of India was established, and that is the Central Bank of India since 1935, and right now, as of today, it is the Central Bank of India, as the State Bank of Pakistan is in Pakistan. So Reserve Bank of India is the Central Bank of India, which was established in 1935. All these banks which were established at that time, they were being controlled, they were being ruled by a majority of non-Muslims. Because Muslim population's role in banking industry was very, very limited at that time, before partition, okay? The only bank in pre-partition India was owned by Muslims was Habib Bank, and that was established in 1941. In 1947, a few months before the creation of Pakistan, another Muslim-owned bank was established, and the name was Muslim Commercial Bank. After that, we know that on 14th August 1947, India was divided among two nations, Muslim and Hindus. Pakistan was created at that time on 14th August 1947. So both banks, Habib Bank and Muslim Commercial Bank, they were shifted to Pakistan, and they established their headquarters in Karachi. Keep in mind that Karachi was the capital at that time of Pakistan, and it was then shifted to Islamabad in 1955. After 1 year of independence, approximately 1 year after independence, on 1st July 1948, the Central Bank of Pakistan, which is State Bank of Pakistan, that was established and commenced operations. And that was a historical moment. At that time, on the opening ceremony, the founder of Pakistan, Quaid-e-Azam Muhammad Ali Jinnah, has delivered a historical speech, and I'll give you a quotation from his speech, which is related with our topic today. Uh, since 1947, the banking sector in Pakistan grew rapidly. New banks were established. Private sector was also encouraged to establish private banks, commercial banks, and they were encouraged to establish new branches across the country. At the same time, State Bank of Pakistan granted licenses to certain foreign banks as well to operate in Pakistan, and foreign banks started working here in the country. However, the problem is that since 1947, since independence, even though that Pakistan was created on the name of Islam, but unfortunately, Islamic financial system or Islamic banking system were not being adopted by any government. And liberal capitalist economic system was followed by Pakistan since 1947, which is still continued in the country. However, there are some attempts to convert it into Islamic. And this is the historical speech of Muhammad Ali Jinnah on the time of the opening of State Bank of Pakistan. That is a long speech. I have just a quotation for you. He said, "Our banking practices must be compatible with Islamic ideas of social and economic life. We must work our destiny in our own way and present to the world an economic system based on true Islamic concept of equality, of manhood, and social justice." So this is the clear indication that Muhammad Ali Jinnah was in intention to establish economic, financial, and banking system of Pakistan on Islamic principles. And this speech indicates this very clearly. But however, due to some political, some financial, some economical pressures, some other reasons, none of the government after that, they have tried their best to convert the Pakistani financial system into Islamic. And it continues as a liberal economic system. However, Pakistan's economy was at the boom in 1960s or 1970s, we can say as well. That this is the indication that in 1969 only, the data says that in 1969 only, the exports of Pakistan were higher than the combined exports of Indonesia, Malaysia, Philippines, and Thailand. So it is a remarkable economic situation at that time that the Pakistani exports was higher than the combined exports of 4 countries, which are nowadays, industrial giants. In 1973, keep in mind that in between this, in 1971, Pakistan was divided into 2 parts. East Pakistan was separated as Bangladesh, and West Pakistan continued as Pakistan. So from 1971, the history which we will discuss, that will be the history of West Pakistan, which is nowadays is Pakistan country only. So in 1973, the new constitution was being created by the National Assembly of Pakistan, and that is the historical constitution, which is being implied since 1973, and today it is also in action. There are several articles in that constitution, but the Article 38 and the F section of this article is very important. It says, eliminate riba as early as possible. So this is the constitutional requirement in 1973 constitution that interest must be eliminated from country as early as possible. However, since long time, this article has not been addressed by any government, and gradually and slowly this process was started. And similarly, in next year in 1974, another movement started in Pakistan. The government realized that it should nationalize the banking sector. and even financial sector, whole financial sector. So that was a very bad move at that time, which was realized later. But definitely at that time, it was considered that it is a good move. So in 1974, whole financial industry and whole banking industry was being nationalized by Government of Pakistan at that time. And to action the nationalization of this process, an ordinance was passed on 1st January 1974, and it is called the Banks Nationalization Ordinance 1974. So through this ordinance, whole banking and financial industry was nationalized by government. Though foreign banks were not affected under the policy of nationalization, however, all life insurance companies, both Pakistani and foreign, which were working at that time, and they were taken by the government under this policy. Insurance companies, all insurance companies, local or foreign, they were merged under the patronage of State Life Insurance Corporation, which is the largest insurance company nowadays in Pakistan. Government decided to retain only 5 major banks, and they decided to merge remaining banks into those 5 banks. So because government was thinking at that time that to control, to manage only 5 banks is easier job. However, it was proved wrong in later. Habib Bank and Standard Bank being merged into Habib Bank Limited, and that is still the largest bank nowadays in Pakistan. Bank of Bahawalpur, Eastern Mercantile Bank, and Eastern Bank Corporation were handed over to the National Bank of Pakistan. And National Bank of Pakistan is the largest government-owned bank nowadays in Pakistan. The Commerce Bank and Union Banks were amalgamated with the United Bank Limited, and the Premier Bank was merged into Muslim Commercial Bank. Similarly, over half a dozen small banks operating in Punjab and NWFP, which is nowadays Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, that is a province, were merged with the Australasia Bank under a new title of Allied Bank of Pakistan. So Allied Bank of Pakistan basically is a merger of almost 6 or 7 banks at that time. And this Allied Bank of Pakistan is still in operation nowadays. The government of Pakistan also decided to establish the Pakistan Banking Council. So that was a new organization which has been established by the government of Pakistan, Pakistan Banking Council. Even State Bank of Pakistan was there. So they have established this as a parallel organization. So from this, conflict of interest was started because State Bank of Pakistan has its own powers and authorities. Pakistan Banking Council has its own power and authorities, and then conflict was started with this move. Uncertainty in the banking sector was at the peak at that time during nationalization, and most of the bankers, they were disheartened and they were started leaving Pakistan, and major talented bankers moved to North America, Europe, and the Far East. In 1977, government of Pakistan at that time that started or that were thinking to convert current banking system into Islamic. And for that, they started some they took some initiatives. They started some profit and loss based accounts. So at that time in conventional banks, and they were considered that profit and loss based accounts are Islamic. And they even advertised so much to pursue the people of Pakistan that profit and loss based accounts are purely based on Islamic principles, and people can rely on these accounts and they can keep their money in conventional banks as well. To start this process, local Council of Islamic Ideology, which was at that time in practice, so the CIA started its conversion process on September 29, 1977. The assignment was given to CIA to convert current banking into Islamic at that time. And this council was comprising of policymakers, economists, and bankers, and they submitted their report in 1980. They gave a clear-cut roadmap to the government how current conventional banking system can be converted into Islamic. The report highlighted enough facts and multiple options to get rid of the interest from the financial system of the economy and how banking system can be converted into Islamic. But the speed of this conversion was very, very slow. And this matter went into federal Sharia court at that time to give its final decision, to give a decision about elimination of riba. Several years later, on 14th November 1991, Federal Sharia Court of Pakistan declared that interest in all its forms is riba and strictly prohibited by the Holy Quran and Sunnah. By this verdict, by this decision, it was very much clear that interest of every form, because there was a strong debate at that time that what is interest and what is not interest, what is usury and what is not usury. So Federal Sharia Court summarized all forms of interest at that time in one sentence, and it declared that it is the against of Holy Quran and Sunnah, it is prohibited. But again, after this decision, uh, some steps have been taken by the government at that time, but most of the time, most of the banks went into Supreme Court of Pakistan against this decision because they don't want to convert into Islamic at that time. However, before that, in 1980, Zakat and Ushur ordinance was also being passed by the government to start collecting Zakat through conventional banks. And that was, very surprising that how conventional bank can deduct Zakat on saving accounts, even they are not Islamic banks. And the process of Zakat is also was very complicated at that time. Government of Pakistan, even State Bank of Pakistan, Government of Pakistan, and National Bank of Pakistan. These three entities went into Supreme Court of Pakistan for the review against this decision due to some political and financial pressures. As I told you earlier, that major banks they pressurized government not to convert into Islamic because they have their financial interest in that. So again, the matter went into a Sharia appellate bench of Supreme Court. And that bench suspended the orders of Federal Sharia Court and suspended the decision which they have given till further orders. And finally, after again several years, the Supreme Court Sharia Appellate Bench delivered its judgment in December 1999 with the directions that laws involving interest would ease to have effect by June 30th, 2001. They have given a time frame that by 30th June 2001, laws to eliminate riba should be made by the government. But again, it was not being acted upon. And later, the Supreme Court extended the date to 30th June 2002. But again, it was not being followed by the government at that time. Instead of that, a review petition filed by a bank, and that was National Bank of Pakistan at that time, Sharia bench of the Supreme Court set aside the previous verdicts on riba in June 2002 and remanded back the case to Federal Sharia Court for hearing afresh. So it means that due to dishonesty at that time, Supreme Court of Pakistan have done what? They have sent back the case to Federal Sharia Court again and asked the Federal Sharia Court to redefine the term of riba, to redefine the shifting process from conventional to Islamic. And it was, delaying tactics as well. While this case was in review in Federal Sharia Court, the government started encouraging Islamic banking to establish in the country. And that was very interesting. Even Supreme Court has sent back the case to Federal Sharia Court and it was in process there. The government has decided itself to start conversion process a little bit. And due to those processes, due to those steps, the very first Islamic commercial bank, which was Mizan Bank Limited, that was established in Pakistan in 2002. Keep in mind that at that time, case was again in review in Federal Sharia Court. It was not finally decided yet. But the very first Islamic bank, which was Mizan Bank Limited, that was established in 2002. And this Mizan Bank is also is the largest Islamic bank nowadays in Pakistan. Similarly, some other banks have started establishing in Pakistan. For example, Dubai Islamic Bank started in 2006. Bank Islami Pakistan established in 2006, April 2006. Al Baraka Bank was also established in 2007. Muslim Commercial Bank, Islamic Bank was started in 2015, and the latest bank which has been fully converted from conventional to Islamic, that is Faisal Bank Limited. It was fully converted on 1st January 2023. If we talk about now till this time, the Federal Sharia Court decision was still pending. But if we talk about the present Islamic banking industry in Pakistan right now, because after that we will discuss the final verdict, final decision of Federal Sharia Court. Okay. So if we talk about the present Islamic banking industry in Pakistan, so we have six full-fledged Islamic banks. As I've given you the names: Al Baraka Bank with 164 branches, Bank Islami with 369 branches, Dubai Islamic Bank with 210 branches, Faisal Bank 729 branches, and Mizan Bank 1006 branches, and MCB Islamic with 229 branches. So by June 30th, 2024, this is the latest data which is available from State Bank of Pakistan. 2,707 branches have been established by six full-fledged Islamic banks in Pakistan. Similarly, there are 16 conventional banks which which have also established standalone Islamic banking branches and Islamic banking windows as well. And we can see the total that 5,040 branches have been established by 16 conventional banks in Pakistan, which means that these are those conventional banks which are doing dual bankings, conventional as well as Islamic. So these 5,040 are dedicated branches which has been established by conventional banks. And similarly, they have established 2,066 Islamic banking windows within conventional banks and without establishing separate Islamic banking branches. So this is a huge, development in Islamic banking industry, that 5,040 branches have been established by conventional banks here in Pakistan. And similarly, some other banks, 11 other banks, they have established their sub branches for Islamic banking, and the number is 156. So altogether, we have 5,196 Islamic banking branches right now in Pakistan. If we look into the industry progress and market share of Islamic banking industry in Pakistan right now, we can see that the total assets of Islamic banking industry as far as June 24 is concerned, that is 9,689 billion Pak rupees. Now keep in mind these values are in Pak rupees because the source of information is State Bank of Pakistan. And the growth rate is 19.4% year-to-year growth, 19.4%, which is a remarkable growth rate. And overall share in overall banking industry is 18.8% with respect to the assets. Deposits are 7,363 billion Pak rupees with annual growth rate of 25.4%, and the share in overall banking industry is 22.7%. Similarly, investments are 4,489 billion Pak rupees with annual growth rate of 29.3%, and the share in overall banking industry is 14.5%. And financing is 3,449 billion Pak rupees with annual growth rate of 3.8%, which is quite low. And overall banking share is 28.6%. So these overall share in banking industry is very encouraging. Even it is low, but again this is developing day by day. Total number of Islamic banking institutions, as I just mentioned, 6 full-fledged Islamic banks and 16 conventional banks which are offering Islamic banking. So 22 are total. 5,196 branches are there in Pakistan. So it looks that this is a huge industry, but we can see that if we, because these are the values in Pak rupees, so for the audience, I have converted this amount in US dollar. So assets are 34.74 billion US dollars. Deposits are $26.404 billion. Investments are $16.098 billion. And financing is $12.368 billion. I have converted Pak rupees in USDs. But surprisingly, if we look into the global Islamic banking industry worldwide, and we want to check that what is the proportion of Pakistani the Islamic banking industry. It is very, very, very low. We can see that total Islamic banking assets in the world right now is $2,372 billion, whereas Pakistani Islamic banking industry's assets are only $34.74 billion, which makes that Islamic banking industry share in the world is only 1.46%. So this is very, very low as far as global Islamic banking industry is concerned, and it requires to develop much more here in Pakistan in this sector. The major financing by Islamic banking industry is Pakistan. It is being done in Murabaha, Ijara, Musharaka, Diminishing Musharaka, Salam, and Istisna. So these are major modes in which Islamic banking industry provides financing here in Pakistan. And there are some other modes as well. For example, Dubai Islamic Bank has recently launched personal finance, personal loan scheme, which they are working on by Musawama principle. Similarly, corporate sector is the major sector here in Pakistan, which is being benefited by Islamic banking industry. And then SMEs, second sector, then agriculture. Consumer finance proportion is quite low, only 7.8% of total portfolio. Commodity financing, and then so there are some other financing venues as well in which Islamic banking currently working in Pakistan. Again, if we look to the global Islamic banking industry, we can see that Iran has achieved 100% Islamic banking in the country, and that's Sudan. So these are two countries which have achieved the milestone of 100% Islamic banking industry in their countries. And Somaliland is also very close to 100%. Even it is not mentioned in this table, which is a strange thing. However, Saudi Arabia is at third number, and then Brunei, then Kuwait, Malaysia, Qatar. Malaysia is 32.14%. This is the latest data which I have taken. So Malaysia is 32.14% banking Islamic system. Then Qatar, Djibouti, UAE, Jordan, Bangladesh is 21.33%. So Bangladesh is again better than Pakistan as far as share of Islamic banking is concerned. After that, Bahrain and then Pakistan, 19.6% of the banking sector is Islamic here in the country. And after that, Oman, Palestine, and other countries as well. The total banks which are working in Pakistan right now are 5 public sector commercial banks. Names: First Women Bank, the Bank of Khyber, Sindh Bank, National Bank of Pakistan, and the Bank of Punjab. 3 specialized banks are working here. One is Zari Taraqqiyati Bank Limited. Actually, Zari Taraqqiyati Bank Limited, it is the Urdu name, and the meaning is Agricultural Development Bank of Pakistan. Previously, its name was Agricultural Development Bank of Pakistan. This is for the development of agriculture in the country. But, to make it more easy, name has been changed to Zari Taraqqiyati Bank Limited. Then Punjab Provincial Cooperative Bank and SME Bank. Similarly, we have 14 local private banks: Habib Bank, MCB Bank, Bank Al Falah, Habib Metropolitan, Samba Bank, Standard Chartered Bank, Silk Bank, United Bank, Allied Bank, Bank Al Habib, GS Bank, Askari Bank, Soneri Bank, and Bank Makarama. So 14 banks we have local private banks in the country. Similarly, we have 6 full-fledged Islamic banks: Mizan Bank, Bank Islami, Dubai Islamic, Al Baraka, MCB Islamic, and Faisal Bank. And 4 foreign banks we have in Pakistan: Citibank, Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, Deutsche Bank AG, and Bank of China Limited. So altogether, we have 32 banks operating in Pakistan at present. Out of that, 5 are public sector commercial banks, 3 are specialized banks, 14 local private banks, 6 Islamic banks, and 4 foreign banks. So in total, we have 32 banks which are operating currently in Pakistan. And out of these 32, if you remember that I already mentioned that 22 banks are offering Islamic banking services. 6 are full-fledged Islamic banks. They don't have conventional banking. And remaining 16, they have conventional banking, but they have established Islamic banking separately. So out of 32, 22 banks are already operating in Islamic banking industry. So it means that there are only 10 banks remaining, which are pure conventional at the time, and they have to convert itself into Islamic. So 16 conventional banks, which have conventional part, they have to transform into Islamic, and 10 which are pure conventional banks right now, they don't have Islamic banking at the moment. They have to convert full-fledged into Islamic. This is again an interesting thing which I want to mention here, that as per 30th June 2023, this is the latest data which was available. The number of bank accounts are surprising in Pakistan. The total population is 241 million, and out of this population, 177 million bank accounts here in Pakistan. So this is surprising. Out of 177 million, 128 million are male account holders and 49 million women account holders, which is very unique thing, that 49 million women have bank accounts here in Pakistan. Whereas we have already mentioned that as per 30th June 2024, the proportion of Islamic banking industry in this overall banking sector is 18.8% as per assets and 22.7% as per deposits. Now come back to the Federal Sharia Court again. Keep in mind that during this time period, the case was again in Federal Sharia Court, and hearings were continued on daily basis almost. Finally, Federal Sharia Court made a decision on 28th April 2022 to convert whole financial and banking system of Pakistan from conventional to Islamic. And this time they have given a time frame up to 31st December 2027. And that was interesting that the Federal Sharia Court at this time, it has given a time frame of 5 years to convert remaining conventional banking industry into Islamic. And the second interesting thing was that this decision was not challenged by the government or any bank. Accepted it as final decision. Even National Bank of Pakistan and State Bank of Pakistan, they went into Federal Sharia Court again for a review, but later they withdraw their review petition and accepted this decision as final decision. In the light of the decision, State Bank of Pakistan began preparations for its conversion, and State Bank of Pakistan highlights the need and importance of this conversion in SBP Vision 2028. Now, this is a very crucial and critical document, which is called SPP, State Bank of Pakistan Vision 2028, in which State Bank of Pakistan clearly gave a roadmap to convert current conventional banking industry into Islamic. According to SPP Vision 2028, the Federal Sharia Court judgment has set an ambitious target for the Islamic banking industry, which requires stringent and coherent action from all stakeholders. The SBP will have to play a pivotal role in implementation of this judgment. So it was the verdict which has been given by State Bank of Pakistan, and it was a clear indication that State Bank is determined at this time to convert current conventional banking industry into Islamic.
Hello, Dr. Sanaullah. Seems we have a glitch. Dr. Sanaullah. All right. Just give me a couple of, let's give Dr. Sanaullah a couple of minutes. It's an internet lag or connection lag. Well, until he comes back, I'll take this opportunity to request all the participants, if those of you who have any questions, right, please feel free to write them down in the chat box, right? Yes, this should be, seems like the Doctor is coming towards the end of his presentation. So yes, do prepare your questions, and to the best of my ability, I'll run through them and pose them to Dr. Bi'idhnillah. Is he back yet? Okay. Mhm. Oh, he's not here anymore. Okay. Have to wait for him to come back. Okay. Mhm. Oh, okay. Brother Mikhail says he would prefer to ask his question verbally.
Oh, I'm sorry, brother. Due to some technical problem, internet connection was lost.
No, it's absolutely fine. It's absolutely fine.
Okay.
There was just a
So
question. Yes, I was just informing the participants that, for them to
okay.
prepare their questions
Okay, okay.
towards the end of the session, inshallah. Yeah. Okay. Well done.
Okay. So I continue on.
Yes, please.
I can share the screen.
Yes, yes, yes.
It is already visible.
No, it's not. It's not visible. It's no longer visible.
It's not visible at the moment. Okay.
No, it's not visible.
Okay. Let me check.
Okay.
Sharing is not turned on.
Oh, Brother Fahad, if you're here, let me see if I can.
Yeah, the host is
Yes.
not allowing. Okay.
Yes, yes, Brother Fahad, you're here.
How I can share now?
You can? Oh no, it's still not allowed.
Yes, yes. Now it is. It is.
You can now, yeah? All right.
Yes. Okay. Okay. Fine.
Thank you, Brother Fahad.
Okay. Sorry for the interruption due to the loss of internet connection. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. Fine. Thank you. So we were discussing SBP Vision 2028. There are 6 strategic goals which have been set by State Bank of Pakistan and in this important document. And strategic goal number 4 is most important, and that is very good with our topic. Strategic goal 4 says transforming to a Sharia compliant banking system. And in this strategic goal, State Bank of Pakistan has targets. And we will discuss these targets one by one. For example, target number 1 is strengthen legal and regulatory environment. And this target says that to build a conducive legal and regulatory landscape, ensure alignment with international prudential standards, ensure tax neutrality for Islamic banking vis-a-vis conventional banks, and target 2, which is transform existing conventional banks into Islamic banks. The highlights of this target are design a roadmap for transition towards Islamic banking, coordinate with banks for conversion to Islamic banking, design solutions, tools for liquidity management for Islamic banks. Target 3, which is strengthen the Sharia governance framework. It includes revise the SGF adopt best practices, ensure alignment with international standards on Sharia, and strengthen coordination with stakeholders. Target 4 says conduct market development and research in the field of Islamic financial services. And it says increase focus on market development and research initiatives. Last, fifth target says enhance capacity building and awareness. And in this capacity building through human resource development and raising awareness about Islamic banking and finance. So these are five targets which have been set under the strategic goal number 4, which is uh, related to a topic, and it says that transforming to a Sharia compliant banking system. So under the guideline of this SBP Vision 2028, State Bank of Pakistan also issued guidelines for conversion of banks into Islamic broad parameters on 28th June 2024. This is the latest document which has been issued by SBP, and this is the clear direct.
I think Dr. Sanaullah is experiencing connection problems once again.
I'm extremely sorry, internet is disturbing.
No, it's fine. Please, Doctor, continue.
Can you hear me right now? Okay, fine. Thank you.
Yes, please.
I'm sorry for that disturbance. The internet is a major problem right now as well. This is beyond my control. Okay. So in these guidelines, uh, objective of these guidelines is to assist conventional banks to have a standardized uh, template to devise their own conversion plan for the smooth transformation process. These guidelines include following parameters for this process: conversion plan, internal target setting, priority areas, training and capacity building, and timeline and reporting.
Dr. Sanaullah, sorry for the interruption. Your slides are not being displayed. Yeah, then you'll have to reshare.
I'm extremely sorry.
No worries at all.
I can share it again because.
All right.
Now visible?
Yes, now it's visible. Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Please.
This is another major problem nowadays in Pakistan. Everyone is facing internet problem here. I don't know what is the reason. So these are the parameters which has been addressed in these guidelines, and we will discuss one by one. First of all is conversion plan. In this conversion plan, State Bank has advised all banks to make a clear-cut plan, include timelines, milestones, and internal targets for this whole conversion process, and submit it to State Bank of Pakistan. And this conversion plan must be enforced by 31st December 2027, which is the cutoff date to convert banking system into Islamic. Then internal target setting is the second point of these guidelines. And again, banks has been asked by State Bank that they have to set their own targets, own internal targets, that what are the priority areas for them for the conversion of their assets, deposits, financing, and investment portfolios and branches. So they have to set their own targets that on which areas they have to work in the beginning and then later on. Similarly, number 3 is priority areas. Again, the bank is encouraged to prioritize areas for conversion of its existing portfolio. And every bank has been asked by SBP, State Bank of Pakistan, that they set their priorities by themselves. And the most important is training and capacity building of human resource. This is the major problem here in Pakistan, that Islamic banks are in shortage of knowledgeable and trained professionals in the area of Islamic banking. So banks are encouraged, strongly encouraged by State Bank, that they provide sufficient training to their existing staff and the new staff which they will hire in future, so that they can deliver Islamic banking products in a better way. And finally, the fifth part of this guideline is timeline and reporting. So State Bank has bound every bank to submit their conversion reports quarterly after every 3 months to State Bank of Pakistan, in which they have to clearly mention that what targets they already have achieved and on which targets they are working upon. So these are clear-cut guidelines which have been given by SBP to all banks here in Pakistan. Now, if we talk about the issues and challenges which are being faced by Islamic banking industry right now, and we can say that these issues and challenges will continue in future as well till we will address on these issues. So these are major issues which are being faced by Islamic banking industry here. Number one is standardization. Standardization means that there are different standards being followed by Islamic banks. For example, vocabulary of Islamic financing. Vocabulary means that the terms which are being used by Islamic banks, they are different with each other as well. For example, if one bank is use Murabaha for financing via sale on deferred payment, some other banks are treating it by Saman Bil Ajal. So these are different terminologies which are being used by Islamic banks here in Pakistan, and the users of these services are confused that one bank is using different name and second one is using different name, due to which this is an impression here in Pakistan that Islamic banking and conventional banking is the same thing. This is not the different, and because of this vocabulary differences. Secondly, financial instruments and their documentation. Again, financial instruments and documentation are very much similar to conventional banking system here in Pakistan right now. And this is the need that the name of financial instruments and the documentation process that should be identical and that should be clear cut different from conventional bank, so that the consumers, the users, they can clearly understand that what is the difference between conventional and Islamic bank. And the third one is pricing formulas for Islamic financial products. Again, this is a very confusing thing again, because for pricing, for calculating profits, Islamic banks also use Kaibor here in Pakistan. Now, Kaibor is what? Kaibor is Karachi Interbank Offer Rate, and it is equivalent to LIBOR, which is London Interbank Offer Rate for international transactions. Here in Pakistan, we use Kaibor, Kibor. And this is the benchmark to calculate the pricing, to calculate the profit, to calculate markup for Islamic banks as well as conventional banks. So when Islamic bank says to the customer that we will use Kaibor, the majority of the users, they think that Kaibor is the same thing which is being used by conventional banks. So they think that this is the same thing, same formula which is being used by Islamic banks, though there's no difference. So Islamic banks need to invent their own pricing formula to calculate the pricing of their Islamic financial products, so that people can be interested on that. Number two challenge is public awareness. And this is again because majority of the population here in Pakistan, they are in mind that conventional banks and Islamic banks are same, and there is no huge difference. Even most of the people think there is no thin difference in between these two. They say this is bank is bank, whether conventional or Islamic, there's no difference, and this is due to the lack of awareness. So Islamic banks should or Islamic banking industry should do what? Number one, public education campaigns. Islamic banks has to launch public education campaigns, inclusion of Islamic banking concept in school curriculum, making Islamic financing course a part of business administration program. And this is being done nowadays here in most of the universities. Islamic banking is being taught at undergrad and graduate level here in Pakistan, and offering full-fledged degree programs in Islamic financing. So this is also being addressed right now. Some of the universities here in Pakistan, they are offering full-fledged degree programs, for example, master's program in Islamic finance, even PhD programs in Islamic finance. So we already have, but again, the number is very, very low. So it should be increased if we want to address this issue and challenge. Number three issue and challenge is training of banking professionals in the use of Islamic financial products. So this we already have discussed, that a lack of qualified manpower is one of the biggest hurdles in the advancement of Islamic banking in Pakistan. And this can be addressed only by providing sufficient trainings to current employees and to potential employees who want to join Islamic banking in future. Number four challenge is emphasis on Sharia audit instead of reliance on Sharia supervision. Now, Islamic banks are doing what? They are mostly relying on Sharia supervision by establishing Sharia advisory boards. Islamic bank think that they have established a Sharia advisory board and that is enough. That is the responsible of all transactions being done by Islamic Bank. But Sharia audit is lacking here in Pakistan. So until and unless Sharia audit should be strong and all banking transactions should go through Sharia audit under the audit Sharia standards by IOFI. So till that time, it is a challenge, it is a issue in Islamic banking industry. Number five challenge is a reduction in financing cost. Similarly, financing cost is very much higher right now in Pakistan by Islamic banks, and they're trying to reduce it uh, by using different method, by different using different modes. For example, in Murabaha financing, banks can avoid physically taking possession of the goods sold by instructing the original sellers to deliver them directly to the bank line. Because sometimes it happens that in Murabaha financing, banks uh, take the physical possession of goods first and then they sell it to the customers. So by this process, they are being charged heavier than the transactions. So this is again a challenge which is being processed by Islamic banks. Number six challenge is establishment of real market links. So real market links means that Islamic banks in Pakistan are relying mostly on those customers which are interested in investing in Sharia compliant products only. And according to State Bank of Pakistan, approximately 22% of the total banking customers are Islamic banking customers. It means remaining 78% are those customers which are still the customers of conventional banking. And that is a huge market which is being missed by Islamic banks. So Islamic banks must have to touch upon those 78% customers and try their level best to convert them into Islamic banking. Number seven issue is institutionalization of recovery of debt. Timely recovery of debt is critical for the success of Islamic financing. However, it is again very interesting here that current non-performing loan rate is approximately 27% in Pakistan. And out of this 27% non-performing loan means the bad debts, the Islamic banking non-performing loan rate is only 4%. And this is really remarkable. But again, Islamic banks are facing this challenge that recovery of debt is a problem here in Pakistan. So they are doing their level best to tackle this. Number eight challenge is risk management. Now, there are several types of risks involved in Islamic banking here in Pakistan, and specifically, credit risk is the most important out of that. That while financing and while giving consumer financing specifically here in Pakistan or project financing, banks are facing this credit risk, and banks has to tackle this credit risk especially and other risks as well, because until they will manage the risk efficiently, they cannot grow further. Number nine challenge, according to my mind, is accounting. Even Islamic banks throughout the world and Pakistan are bound to follow accounting standards, which has been reshaped or redeveloped by IOFI. Again, there are some Islamic banks in Pakistan which are still using IFRS and IAS instead of IOFI accounting standards. So this is again a big challenge or big problem here in Pakistan, and Islamic banks are trying and they have to adopt IOFI accounting standards so that their transaction must be Sharia compliant. Number 10 issue, according to my point of view, is financial products yielding stable income flows. There are some areas in which Islamic banks are lacking in Pakistan, and these are the needed for pensioners, widows, orphans, and similar other vulnerable groups in the society that rely on fixed income schemes. So normally these pensioners or widows, they do what? They keep their savings in the government of Pakistan's saving schemes from which they can get a regular monthly income, and that is interest based. But as far as Islamic banks are concerned in Pakistan, they are not working on this area, and they have to work on this area so that they can attract these pensioners, widows, and other people who are relying on fixed income every month. And this is also lacking here in Pakistan right now. 11th issue is divisible and tradable financial instrument for government and industry needs. As we all know that government is the largest user of credit in any country. The situation is precarious in the Muslim countries where tax revenues are consistently outstripped by government expenses for miscellaneous purposes. So, as government is the major uh, user of credit in Pakistan as well, Islamic banks are not imparting their major share in this category. National Bank of Pakistan, which is the major government bank, and State Bank of Pakistan, those are the major beneficiaries by government, and Islamic banks are lacking into this area. So Islamic banks in Pakistan have to tackle this issue as well. Number 12, regulation and control of Islamic financial institutions. In Pakistan, we have Islamic Banking Division, which has been established by State Bank of Pakistan, which is making rules and regulations to establish to govern Islamic banking industry here in the country. But again, that is not so much effective, and most of the Islamic banks are still using their own regulation systems or the regulatory framework given by State Bank of Pakistan, which is as well as being followed by conventional banks. So there is a need to establish an institution which make rules and regulations for Islamic banks specifically here in Pakistan, or to strengthen the role of Islamic Banking Division of State Bank of Pakistan. Number 13 issue is migration from riba-based to riba-free banking. And this we already have discussed in today's presentation. Uh, uh, and here Pakistan has an advantage because in some Muslim countries, governments are trying to do what? They are trying to convert their banking industry altogether to Islamic. And this is a very major problem. But luckily, we have done what in Pakistan? We have gradually converted or converting uh, current banking industry into Islamic. And for this, we already have established 6 full-fledged Islamic banks. We have 16 conventional banks which are offering Islamic banking products and services. So altogether, we already have 22 banks, and we have only 10 remaining banks which are purely conventional. So with this gradual conversion, it is a good sign. It is a good thing for Pakistan that we can migrate from riba-based to riba-free banking easily. However, it is a challenge at the moment because we have to convert a major proportion still from conventional to Islamic. But again, we have an advantage in this challenge. And 14th challenge is legal framework. At present, Islamic banks are working in many Muslim countries without proper legal cover. Iran, Sudan, and Malaysia are exceptions because they have established their proper legal framework for the conversion of conventional to Islamic, and then how to regulate Islamic banks. They have made their thorough legal frameworks, but Pakistan is also lacking in this. And finally, and the last challenge, according to my mind, is that future Sharia research. And again, future Sharia research means that to explore new avenues for Islamic financing, to explore new Islamic banking products, to explore or to invent new Islamic banking services. But again, there is a problem here in Pakistan because we have different school of thoughts here in Pakistan, and there are some fiqhi differences among all school of thoughts. So this is again a challenge, and Pakistani Islamic banking industry has to think upon that and to come to a conclusion where we can establish uh, this type of Sharia research in which there should be no conflict, and new products, new services which are being developed by Islamic banks, they should be acceptable for all people in Pakistan. So these are the challenges, these are the issues which are being faced by Islamic banking industry right now, and similarly, they will be continue till the time these will be addressed. So by this, I think I have tried to cover all aspects of Islamic banking industry, right from the history to present industry and then future, and the challenges which are being faced by Islamic banking industry right now, and it is being faced by Islamic banking industry in future as well, till these challenges be addressed, and what time frame has been given by Federal Sharia Court, and according to that timeline, the whole banking industry of Pakistan will be converted into Islamic by 31st December 2027. Thank you very much from my side, and your questions if you have any.
All right, Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you very much, dear Assistant Professor, Dr. Sanaullah. That was quite the meal, right? It was well unpacked, right? So you started off with the historical context, right? Beginning with the division of the split of Pakistan and Bangladesh all across today, where you've highlighted very well, in my humble opinion, the challenges that are faced, and you've very eloquently as well posed, right, numerous recommendations that need to be adopted, right? So it'll be very difficult to ask questions, all right, but inshallah, let me see. Let me perhaps ask this particular question.
Okay.
Yeah. So, with regards to okay, while I'm asking this question, I encourage all the participants to pose your questions in the chat box. Yes, I'll go through them in a little bit. Yeah. Okay. So in the meantime, I have a few questions for Dr. Sanaullah. So the first question is: so you've highlighted the general sentiment, right, within the country. Well, perhaps I think that is the one question that I need to ask, right? You've highlighted the perception, right, of all players within the markets, right, from regulators to the layman, right? You mentioned that there's a lack of awareness at the current time, right, amongst the general public, right, regarding the whether it's the vocabulary that is being used within the industry, whether it's the fact that there is a huge distinction between Islamic finance and conventional finance, right? So all of those were clear, right? Could you give us perhaps an understanding of what the general sentiment is, right? Not to put them in percentage, but is, despite there not being any clear opposition towards this new policy, is the general public on board with this particular mission? Or is there some sort of resistance, a quiet resistance, I should say? Dr. Sanaullah, are you that? Oh, I think the connection has frozen once again. Dr. Sanaullah? Okay, I think he'll have to join us in a moment. Dr. Sanaullah. Oh, he's here. Dr. Sanaullah, I think you're on mute.
Yes, please.
Yes, okay.
I'm extremely sorry. I'm extremely
No,
sorry.
not at all. Not at all.
We are
Completely
changing.
understood.
We are continuously changing internet connection. I'm sorry for that. But
I see.
I
No
think
worries
now
at all.
I think now it is stable, inshallah ta'ala. Can you kindly
Inshallah.
summarize your question once again? I couldn't hear
Yes,
you.
yes, please. Okay, so the question I was asking was, you've mentioned that there's a lack of awareness, there's a lack of understanding of Islamic finance amongst the general public, that practitioners often conflate between the terminology. There's a misunderstanding of vocabulary. Right? One particular bank utilizes one term and another bank uses another term. Right? The question I was posing was with regards to sentiment, the general sentiment amongst the public. Right? You mentioned that there is no opposition. Right? Nobody is taking this particular decision to court, whether it be banks or individuals. But the question is, what can you tell us about the general sentiment? Right? Is the general public on board? Are practitioners and policymakers on board with this decision, or is there some form of resistance?
Okay, that's a very good question. As I mentioned, first of all, against this Supreme Court, Federal Sharia Court decision, financial institutions, they accepted that, okay? And that is a very good sign. As far as general public is concerned, Pakistan has 97% Muslim population. And majority of these people, they want to have their bank accounts in Islamic banks. And this is a general perception, okay? All researchers, all surveys, they indicate that majority of the people, they want to have their banking products, they want to have their banking accounts, they want to get banking services from Islamic banks, but still they're confused. So that is a
Mhm.
very, very big problem here.
Mhm.
A huge majority is still confused. Believe me that I face this question almost every day.
Mhm.
My colleagues, my friends, my students, and and the general public, almost every day I face this question that what is the difference between Islamic and conventional banking? Even this is a basic question. And when I give them the answer, they are still confused. They say, okay, no problem. What we understand is that Islamic banking and conventional banking is the same thing. You just have used Arabic terms. You are using Kybor, you are using same products, you are using same methods, you are using same formulas, you are using same contracts. So what is the difference? So this is very, very difficult to make understand general public that there is a huge difference in between these two banking systems. The terminologies are different, the mechanism is different, the contracts are different, the philosophy is different, but it is again very, 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 very difficult to make it understand for the general public. And for this, people like me, we are trying our level best to make it convenient for the people so that they can easily understand what is the difference in between these both banking systems. But again, this is not the responsibility of me or like my people. This is the responsibility of Islamic banks in Pakistan, which they are not fulfilling. Islamic banks should have to take this initiative. They should have to believe me that I also face this problem for myself and my friends tell me that when they go to an Islamic bank even and they ask this question to the employee of Islamic bank that what is the difference of your bank and conventional bank? And majority of bank staff says, oh, believe me, there is no difference. So this is the situation of current banking staff here in Pakistan. And this is a very, very big problem. Even people want to switch from conventional to Islamic. This is a reality. This is a reality. This is not an assumption. Most of the people, they want to switch from conventional to Islamic, but they are not mentally, they are not mentally prepared. They are not mentally, satisfied. They are not convinced. So they have to be satisfied. They have to be convinced.
Okay. All right, that's well answered. So, if I understand you correctly, the key problem internally is the lack of education, the lack of awareness,
Exactly.
the lack
Lack
of
of awareness.
understanding.
Yes.
I
Yes.
see. Okay, right. And then you proposed your counter proposition was, public educational programs, campaigns to incorporate Islamic finance as a course within school curriculums and university programs and whatnot. I think these are great propositions. Okay, so
Yes, of course. Of course. Of course.
taking a step back, right, from this answer, taking a step back and looking at matters outside of Pakistan, right, with the recent changes in geopolitics, the recent geopolitical changes and whatnot, the fact that conventional finance is the current dominant economic and financial model. How do you see this grand decision impacting Pakistan from, the external forces?
Okay. Yeah, definitely. In the world, conventional financial model is being followed. But again, you can see that a majority of the countries in the world, and most of them are non-Muslim countries as well, they
Mm.
are also trying to follow Islamic banking model. Because if we look into the modalities of both banking systems, conventional and financial, Islamic banking model is more comfortable, even more profitable for policymakers. So you can see that most of the non-Muslim countries, they are also opting Islamic banking model in their banking system. And as far as Islamic countries are concerned, Pakistan, I have gone through some reports by State Bank of Pakistan, and the professionals of State Bank, they are very much impressed from the banking model of Iran, because Iran has achieved 100% Islamic banking model in the country, and they are surviving at their level best as well. So Pakistan is also trying to somehow follow the banking model of Iran, and they are as because
Mm.
as a model of financial inclusion, because most of the people are still out of the banking. Keep in mind that the 177 million bank accounts which I have just mentioned, these are not the regular customers of banking industry in Pakistan. Keep in mind, a huge number out of this is only salaried persons, okay, who are obligated by their employers to open a bank account. They receive their salaries and then they withdraw, and that's all. So technically, they are not banking customers. Even they have bank accounts, but technically they are not banking customers. They are not availing any product or service of any bank, even conventional or Islamic. So a wide majority, a huge majority of Pakistani people are still out of, banking industry. Out of banking industry means they are not availing any product or services of any bank, conventional or Islamic. So to include all those people into in this banking system, the government of Pakistan has decided to act upon this decision and to convert the whole banking industry into Islamic, so that 97% population, which is Muslim here in Pakistan, government think that all those people, then they will be Islamic banking customers. And by this, banking industry of Pakistan will be very, very strong. The proportion which is 1.46% only right now in international Islamic banking industry, that will be increased automatically. So this is the vision, this is the perception of the government of Pakistan and State Bank of Pakistan, that by converting this, we can do this. And similarly, government of Pakistan has also transmitted this decision or transmitted this policy to international stakeholders as well, specifically as because we are relying much upon IMF, government of Pakistan. So IMF has also been informed by this decision, and it has been communicated to them that we are converting our banking system into Islamic, and they are agreed. Because you must know that within IMF there is Islamic banking division, and IMF is also working on this sector. Similarly, World Bank also has Islamic banking division. They are also working on this sector. So they already have accepted Islamic banking as an industry, and as a better alternate of conventional banking. So Islamic banking industry or Islamic banking system is not a new for the world right now. Major stakeholder, World Bank and IMF, they are also working on that. Major banks in all major countries, including non-Muslim countries, they are also working on that, and they are converting or they are establishing Islamic banking windows or Islamic banking branches or Islamic banks in their countries as well. So in future, as a Muslim, what I believe is that I can see that in future, inshallah, whole banking industry in the world would be Islamic, inshallah. I don't know when, but I think it will be.
Okay, that is wonderful. Okay, so I'll just pause you for a second over there, Dr. Sanaullah, right? So Dr. Mufti Yousuf has managed to join us, right? He's been here this whole time, but inshallah, I would like to invite him in just to give a few remarks while he's here. Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, tafadhal.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Very happy to see you, Dr. Sanaullah Ansari. Thank you so much for joining us and enlightening us on the topic of Pakistan's 2028 revolutionary Riba-Free banking policy, global implications and way forward. And thank you, Brother Mohamed Sano, for moderating it well. I have been on and off as I was attending one more event as well. And thanks to all our participants as well. The idea today for this webinar was to share what's happening in Pakistan and how the way it happened all the way through the history. And it has been a tremendous journey, I believe, for Pakistan, which can inspire other Islamic finance markets as well, particularly for the decision of going fully riba-free banking by in the next few years. So I think that's something that we wanted to hear from Dr. Sanaullah. Alhamdulillah, he shared a lot. And please continue. I saw you have been responding to queries. I'm here. Jazakumullah khairan. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, for your noble remarks. Right. Okay. So we'll continue with the discussion. I see a few questions in the chat box. Let me try to go through them. First one is by brother Ridwanullahi, right? He says, is there a liquidity problem? I'm supposing he's saying within Pakistan's Islamic finance industry. And if it is true, then how would one address it, the liquidity problems?
There is not any specific liquidity problem here in Pakistan as far as Islamic banking is concerned, because Islamic banks has sufficient, funds available to address this issue. And as I've told you earlier, that majority of Pakistani, people, they are not uh, turning to banking industry here to fulfill their financial needs, because they think that Islamic banking, as I mentioned several times, that they think that Islamic banking is similar to conventional banking, and those people who are not interested by having interest-based products, they think that conventional banks which are offering interest-based products and Islamic banks which are claiming that they are non-interest based, but again they are interest based. So a vast majority of people, they are not turning upon to banking industry in Pakistan, and Islamic banks specifically, if we talk about Islamic banks have sufficient funds available. There's no liquidity problem for Islamic banks. They are even, you can say that they are waiting for customers here in Pakistan, and they are trying to attract them by different ways. For example, the recent development in Islamic banking industry in Pakistan, that Faisal Bank, which has been fully converted into Islamic on 1st January 2023, they have launched Islamic credit card. And this is the very first Islamic banking credit card which has been offered in Pakistan. Even Faisal Bank is a Bahrain bank, and in Bahrain they are also already offering credit cards. But in Pakistan, this is first credit card which is being offered by an Islamic bank. And people are surprised. They are not fully convinced right now that how Islamic Bank can offer a credit card. Even I have personally studied the mechanism of that credit card issuance, and I believe that there is not any big problem over there. And Islamic Bank can also issue a credit card. Even IOFI is also working on this topic as well. So again, the problem is that people are not turning upon to banking industry, specifically Islamic banking industry. However, there's no liquidity problems for Islamic banks.
Wonderful. All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Sanaullah, for that. Next question is, I believe, the Khalid over here mentions, right? This question, I think, is for Mufti Yousuf, right? So Dr. Sanaullah had advocated for the need to adopt IOFI's Sharia auditing accounting standards, because as per your slides, the accounting standards are the biggest challenge within the country,
Yes.
right? So the question for Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan is, how important is it? How important are IOFI's Sharia auditing and accounting standards in changing, in advancing the matter forward for Pakistan?
Yes, as far as IFC standards are concerned, we know that this is a legal binding for all financial institutions throughout the world, that they must adopt IFC Sharia and accounting and auditing standards. Similarly, Pakistani Islamic banking industry is also trying to adopt. But what observation has been raised here in Pakistan, that some of Islamic banks, they are still struggling to adopt IOFI-based Sharia and accounting accounting standards. And for the time being, they are still using IAS or IFRS, which are conventional accounting standards, and they are trying to convert those standards into IOFI-based Sharia standards. So while this, transformation process, they are being faced with accounting problems, auditing problems. Even Islamic banks here, they have established their Sharia audit departments as well. But some of the, as I know, I have friends in some Islamic banks, and they are in Sharia audit departments as well. And according to them, they are not 100% following IOFI-based Sharia and accounting standards right now. Most of them are using or trying to use, but some banks are still having this problem. And until they will use Sharia and accounting standard by IOFI, they cannot say that their accounting system is purely Islamic and their accounting system is as per IOFI standards. So Islamic banks has to follow IOFI based accounting standards.
Wonderful, wonderful. Jazakallah khairan for that response. Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan, yes, would you like to give your input on that particular question?
Yeah, I think Pakistan officially adopted a number of IUP standards I have seen, which is a great progress already, and I hope this continues. But in general, IUP standards and Sharia governance standards, audit standards, despite some maybe some gaps or some frictions, let's say for accounting standards with IFRS, etc. But I think there are efforts made by IOF itself as an organization and by a lot of other scholars in the field. But I think despite all these challenges, the tremendous work that IOF has put forward, it's an easy plug-in, I would say, for the entire Islamic finance industry globally to just adopt and make necessary changes if needed. So, particularly for legal issues and regulatory compliance issues, and it's a quick work. Instead of putting a lot of efforts on developing standards, this and that, we have already things developed. We just need to adopt, apply, and move forward. So I think we cannot say more about the importance of IOP standards, and Pakistan is already on the right track, and hope others can also get inspired from. Thank you.
Okay, adopt, apply, and move forward. I think that's a nice caption. Any last words? I think I'll take last words from beginning with Dr. Mufti Yousuf Sultan. If you have any, I'll give the last word to Dr. Sanaullah. If you have any.
Yeah, I think thank you so much for Dr. Sanaullah for your valuable sharing, and I thank all the audience as well, and particularly Brother Sano for moderating it in an excellent manner. Jazakumullah khairan. We all learn from each other, and Pakistan market is definitely a interesting market to learn, particularly on this Riba-Free decision. And we hope and we make dua that the transition goes smoothly. And we hope this will be an inspiration for other markets as well. Inshallah. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Jazakallah khairan. All right, Dr. Sanaullah, you have the last word. Right. Your message, what is your message to the key players within Pakistan and beyond Pakistan? What is the way forward? I know you've presented a bunch of slides, but what are your final remarks about that?
Thank you very much again for providing me this opportunity. And I'm extremely sorry for the disturbance of internet connection because that was beyond my control. That was natural. Yeah, of course, Alhamdulillah. We are in Pakistan, we are trying our level best to convert whole banking industry into Islamic as per the decision of Federal Sharia Court. And inshallah, it will be done by 31st December 2027. I'm fully confident that it will be converted 100%, inshallah ta'ala. As far as conversion is concerned, definitely banks can be converted into Islamic, but again, there must be some challenges, some problems, and Islamic banks and we as an individual, we have to address those challenges. We have to address those issues so that Islamic banking can be as fruitful as it is expected by the general public in Pakistan, and everyone can be benefited from riba-free banking in Pakistan, inshallah, by 31st December 2027.
Inshallah, inshallah. All right. Wait, I've been told that a particular brother Mikael had a question to ask. This is the first brother who asked the question. He raised his hands much earlier. He wanted to ask it verbally. Brother Mikael, if you're still with us, this is your opportunity.
Thank you. Firstly, I really appreciate the speaker for the insight. Allah reward you. But then my question is, while he was telling us about the history of Islamic finance, Islamic bank in Pakistan, he mentioned a time of a time where there was nationalization. The government was trying to nationalize all the banks. It was a challenge for the banks. Then they were trying to collapse all the banks then to into 5. But then my question is, there's one of them that a group of small banks were brought together to make one. The bank is titled Islamic Bank. Then my question is, these banks that were brought together, titled under the name of Islamic Bank, were they not operating on Islamic basis then? That is my question. Thank you.
All right, Dr. Sanaullah. I think he's asking regarding, just to repeat, he says there was a time, according to your slides, where five banks where a number of banks were asked to come together, right, to form a merger, basically. And he says, is it the case that they were not operating based on the Islamic principles, right? Mikhail, I hope I'm representing your question correctly.
Is they were collapsed into five.
Into five, yes. Okay.
There is one of them that small banks were brought together to make one. Then the title of those small ones that were brought together, they are titled Islamic Bank. Like maybe there is a previous before Islam, they are titled Islamic Bank. But then my question is, were they operating under the Islamic basis? This particular one.
Okay. I think I understand.
You got that? Okay.
The question is that the five banks which have been selected by government, that they merged all banks into five major banks. Were they working on Islamic principle? No, not at that time. Not at that time. The very first Islamic bank which was established in the country was in 2002. Just 22 years back.
2002, yeah. Okay. Does that answer your
Islamic
question, Brother
banking was
Mikhail?
started from there.
I'm okay. I've understood. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. Alhamdulillah. Sorry for overlooking your question, brother. I told myself I'll get back to it, but I forgot to. Yeah, my apologies. All right. Okay. So with that, I think unless there are any further questions, right? This is your final chance to ask your questions. I know Dr. Sanaullah has already given his last words. Oh, yes, very important, right? The slides, someone asked regarding the slides as well. Sorry, my apologies for overlooking that question as well. Someone is asking whether the slides will be shared. Dr. Sanaullah, you say?
Okay, we'll think upon that, inshallah.
We'll think about it. Okay, you heard it from him. You heard it from Dr.
I'll
Sanaullah
discuss with
himself.
you.
Inshallah, we'll have a discussion about it. All right, so with that, I would say thank you all. Jazakumullahu khairan. But first and foremost, to our distinguished speaker, who has taken from his time to share his wisdom and knowledge on this very, very pertinent subject, right? Pakistan being a country that has a very strong footing in the Islamic, in the Muslim world, right? May Allah continue to bless the key players within the Islamic finance industry and elsewhere who are pushing the narrative for Islamic finance. May Allah bless all their efforts. May He continue to guide them, right, to ensure that the Ummah is back to what it was, right, back in those old times. Yes. With that, I say, Dr. Sanaullah, thank you very much. Jazakallahu khairan. Thank you to the distinguished participants as well. Thank you to everyone who has contributed by asking questions, by joining, right, by sharing the webinar with your friends and family. This is the first of this year, right? We started off very well. We had a very honorable speaker. Inshallah, we'll be having many more, right? Once every month at least. So please, please be sure to follow Al-Iqtisad Institute, right? Where Dr. Sanaullah is the founder and CEO. Ensure to follow Adl Advisory as well across the various social media platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter, I believe, right? And yeah, until next time, inshallah, we'll see you guys, and you have a wonderful, wonderful week. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.